In this video, we're talking all about the triangle sum theorem properties. Okay, so whether your triangle looks like any one of these four, we're gonna do some problems that kind of look like those. We're gonna do two of each different type, at least two of each different type. Okay, so if you have a problem that's you're stuck on your math homework, maybe try to find the one that you think maybe would look best like yours, and go to that part of the video, and we'll try to do some problems like it. All right, let's get started. I started on this first one here, and I don't know the exact problem that you have on your math homework, but here are some types I know that I've given my own students, and so let's see if we can figure out ones that are similar to that. Hopefully they can help you out as well. So what this is saying is that if we have any three angles on the inside of a triangle, those are going to add up. Their sum, right, is going to be 180 degrees. So if I just take kind of this first one down here, this is saying if I have 3x, 4x, and 2x all on the inside, maybe the question would be like, what's x? Or maybe find every angle, something like that. And so let's do those things. First off, I'm going to just take and add those up. I'm going to say 2x plus 3x plus 4x, and this is going to equal 180. This will be like my A, my B, and my C in this triangle. So I'll just say equals 180 degrees. So what is 2 plus 3 plus 4? Well, that's 9. And now I'm going to have 9x equals 180 degrees. And if I divide by 9, well, think what is 18 divided by 9? That's 2. This has an extra 0 on it, so it'd be 20. X is going to equal 20 here. And so maybe your problem's asking you to solve for x, then you'd be done. Or maybe it's asking you to plug it back in, and you can figure out what each one of these angles is going to be. If I want to do that, then I'm just going to take this 20 and plug it in here and say 2 times 20. I'll show you the math. Oops, 2 times 20. And that, of course, this angle would be 40. And then what about 4 times 20? That's going to be 80. 3 times 20, that's 60. And guess what 60 plus 40 plus 80 is? 180 degrees. All right, so therefore this worked. And that is actually true for every triangle, no matter what shape it is, whether it's a right triangle, obtuse triangle, or a acute triangle, doesn't matter. This A plus B plus C equals 180 is always going to be true. Okay, so let's use that fact over here to find maybe this missing angle. Whenever you're missing something, I like to put X. You can put whatever letter you want, right? Let's call this number 2. Here, I'm going to say this is 30 plus, what does this symbol mean? Well, when you ever have that little box in a corner, that tells you that is 90 degrees. Okay, so this is going to say plus 90 plus x equals 180. And now again, I can solve for that missing x. So I'm going to add together my common terms first, my like terms. 30 plus 90 is 120. So I have 120 plus x equals 180. If I subtract 120 from both sides of my equal sign there, x is going to equal what? 60 degrees. X equals 60. So here, if I plug that back in, that's going to be 60 degrees. And just to double check, 30 plus 60 is 90. 90 plus 90 is indeed 180 degrees. All right. This last one down here, hopefully you can read everything below that. This time, they give us little tick marks on the side, which indicates this is what type of triangle? Well, this is an isosceles triangle. Whenever you have two sides of your triangle, two legs, those are going to be congruent if they have those tick marks. And that means that they're opposite angles. This one, it says x, and this one also has to be the same. So this is also going to be an x down here. And if I use that fact to my advantage, I can say x plus 80 equals 180. X plus 80 equals 180. And you might be able to do this one in your head, but x plus x, of course, is 2x plus 80 equals 180. Subtract the 80 over. What's 180 minus 80? Well, that's just 100. So now 2x equals 100. If I divide by 2, then x equals 50. So what is that saying? Is that saying that both the x's is going to add up to 50? Or that this is 50 and this is 50? What do you think that's saying here? Well, since this is x and each corner has an x, it's actually saying that this corner is 50 and that corner is 50. And if I do the math, 50 plus 50 is 100. 100 plus the 80 on top, that gives us our 180. Let's try that second type of triangle. Our second type of triangle uses what's called the remote interior angle theorem, which means, well, first off, the word remote, like if I sit on my couch and use my remote, it's because I'm far away from my TV. I don't want to go up there and click the buttons. So remote means kind of far away. And then interior angles, this is going to be that my two interior ones are going to add up to be the remote exterior angle, the one that's further away. And so these two will add up to be j. H plus I will be j in this case, right? So let's try a real easy example with this. These two are further away, meaning it's not the one next to it, but they're further away. So I'm going to do 40 plus 60. 40 plus 60 here is going to equal that remote exterior angle, which is in this case is x. That's what I'm trying to find. Of course, 40 plus 60 is 100. So 100 will equal x. All right, that is 100 degrees. Let's try another one. This one down here, this time I don't know one of the missing ones on the inside. And so I'm going to do 45 plus x. And then same thing, it's going to equal 125. So the part that I'm missing is on the inside, but I can move this 45 over. And if I subtract it like this and this, that's going to give me x equals 80 degrees. So in this case, it's going to be 80 degrees. By the way, these pictures are probably not drawn to scale, but the math still is true. Okay, this last one is definitely the hardest. We have to apply a few things that we should already know in geometry to get there, but I think we can do it. Here I'm missing an exterior angle, but if you notice, my two remote interior angles, I have this 45, but I don't know this one. However, I can use some of my other triangle facts to help me out and know that these are maybe vertical angles. So those two have to be the same. And remember our previous green problems? If I have a missing one on the inside, I know that this plus the missing one are going to equal how many degrees? 180. All right, so I'm going to go 40 plus 75 first. 40 plus 75 plus, I'm going to call this x. And that's going to equal 180. Actually, let's use a different letter. Let's call that y, maybe, since I'm looking to find x up there. Let's call this one y. So 40 plus 75, that's 115. Plus y equals 180. We're going to say y is right there. If I subtract 115 to both sides, minus 115, let's see here, we get y equals, that'd be 65 degrees. Okay, so y I know is 65. Now, you should have already learned about vertical angles in geometry. If you don't know that, just remember that whenever you see kind of the X-type shape, like this and this, the angles across from each other are always going to be the same. And so if that's 65, so is this up here. Okay, and then I have enough to do kind of what I've been doing in these other couple problems where I'm going to add those two together, and then that's going to give me my missing angle x over here. So let's try it. Let's take 45 plus 65, and that's going to equal my x. So if I just had to add those together, 45 plus 65 is 110. So x here is going to be 110 degrees in that missing triangle. All right, let's try our third type. All right, our red triangles that we have here have to deal with linear pairs. And sometimes they'll extend a line of a triangle like this, or one of the sides, to create a linear pair, meaning that this angle plus the inside one and the exterior and interior, those are going to add up to be 180 degrees. That has to be true because it's along a line, all right? And of course, lines form straight angles. Straight angles are like all the way across from your protractor is 180 degrees. All right, so anyway, let's try a few problems with this. These I think are relatively easy problems. I don't know, you might not think so, but if we have 132, this is gonna be 132 plus x, and this has to equal 180 degrees. So here, if I subtract 132 the other side, 132 minus 132, I believe I get 48. All right, so x is gonna be 48 degrees in that particular one, and sometimes that's helpful to find the other ones too, like we're going to see down in some of these other problems. Right, let's try this one though. This is what type of triangle? If there's two tick marks, that is an isosceles triangle. If two sides are congruent, using tick marks there to show that, we can figure out that their base angles are also going to be the same. And so I have to use my property from those very first green ones, which say that if I were to add these up, I'll call this y again. This also has to be the same, so it's going to be another y. I can say y plus 40 equals 180. That's using that green theorem from the beginning, or all the angles on the inside have to add up to be 180. This will be 2y plus 40 equals 180. Subtracting 40 from both sides gives me 2y equals 140. Divided by 2. Well, 14 divided by 2 is 7. This has another 0. So this is going to be 70. Y is 70 in this case. And now I can use that. I can erase this y and call this 70. And know that these two have to add up to be 180, just like I had before. So I'm going to say now x, the one I'm looking for, plus 70 equals 180. And with some simple, maybe even mental math, hopefully, you can subtract 70 from 180 in your head. And of course, get 110. X equals 110 there for x, 110. All right, our hardest one that we're going to do, in my opinion, today is this one. And this one, you're not giving any angles. all right? Except for that you need to find x over here, which is the exterior angle of this one. So I know that x plus this has to add up to be 180, but I don't even know that, all right? So how can I do this? Well, how many tick marks are on these triangles each? These are all 60. In fact, I could probably do this problem without this bottom part here, because if all of those have to be the same, again, I'm going to call those y. And if they're all the same, I could take those and add those up to be 180 and say y plus y plus y, or 3y equals 180. 3y equals 180. Divide all of those by 3, and y, of course, would be 60. So even without knowing anything there, except that the sides are congruent, I can get these all to be 60. And that's actually true for the bottom one as well. So 60, 60, and 60. These also would be 60 because of vertical angles. And then since these are the same, put 60s there as well. But that's not exactly what I want to find. I want to find x, right? And I know that those two have to add up to be 180. So I'm going to do 180. Actually, I'll do 60. How about this? Plus x equals 180. I almost jumped right to it in my head. You can do 60, or you can do 180 minus 60 as well, which is essentially what you do in your problem when you subtract it over. But I'll get x equals 120. 180 minus 60 is 120 degrees for the x in that one. All right, let's try our last type. Our last type problem we have uses exterior angles, in particular the exterior angle theorem, to show you that if I know all the exterior angles of a triangle, this is going to be x plus y plus z. All right, all those added up are going to equal 360 degrees. So the insides added up, remember that was our first type, equal 180, but if you add up the outsides of all the triangles, this is going to be 360 degrees. So let's use that to our advantage to find some of these missing parts. This one wants us to find both x and y. And so if we do that here, if we look at all the exterior parts, this is going to be 120 plus 40 plus x. It's going to equal 360. Let's try that. So let's go 120 plus 140 plus x equals 360 degrees. Let's combine our like terms first. What is 120 plus 140? Well, that is 260, right? 260 plus x equals 360. So with a little bit of subtraction here, subtracting 260 on both sides, we get x equals 100. So here my x is going to be 100 degrees. And then I don't just want to find x, so I want to find y as well. And remember, this is like our last one, that red section we had, where those are going to be a linear pair. And so x plus y is going to equal 180. And so now if I know that x is 100, I can say 100 plus y equals 180. Subtract 100 on both sides, and 180 minus 100, of course, is just 80. So this middle part here is 80 degrees for y. All right, I got one more for you today. This one, it looks a little bit strange. If you look on this last one here, it's kind of this, if you rotate this around, it's the one facing this way, right? If I rotate sort of counterclockwise, those are all my open ones on this side. It doesn't have to be that way though, okay? Here, this one would be like the clockwise angle, clockwise, not ways, clockwise angle. This one though is the counterclockwise, and that's okay if you add up both of these. So maybe I'll kind of show you which angles, this one, and then either, since these are vertical angles, it does not matter if you go clockwise or counterclockwise or clockwise around this. It doesn't matter which one you use, but I'm going to take and just add up all of those, and that should be 360 degrees, okay? Now, I am missing a few of these. I don't know this one, and I don't know that one. I do know this is 120, though. However, which one of those can I figure out of the ones I don't know, this one or this one? Well, this one, right? Kind of like our last one. This is going to be 80 and 100. This is also 80 and 100. I'm not going to do that math again since I already did it up here. And now I do have enough information to find this last one. I can take the 120 plus the 100 plus, I don't know this one. I'm going to call that, since I'm missing, I got an x already, I'm going to call this y. And together those should equal 360. This is going to be 220. 220 plus y equals 360. Subtract 220, and we get y equals, I think, 140 there. I'm at the bottom of the screen, sorry about that. Y equals 140. So I'll call this 140 right here. And then that's enough information to help me find this last chunk. And that is going to be another 40. That's going to get me to be that 180. Again, probably not drawn to scale, But if I do 140 plus 40, that gives me 180 since those are on a linear pair. All right, so a lot of different types of triangles that we learned in this. Hopefully you liked this video and you were able to learn something from it. If not, you might find this video right here helpful. But remember, until next time, keep doing your math homework fast and accurately.